Hi, everybody. It is the first day of July. This is Real Talk with Ryan, and I'm Ryan Satoff from RG Alliance. And I'm here with a special guest, Angela Hill from Incitrio. Incitrio is a marketing and branding agency, and Angela has been involved in the community, involved in many clients, and helped them achieve successes that they never thought they could have. And so, Angela, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to learn more about your perspective, both on how to do business with people, but also how to do business in this environment. Your clients have this swirling change of a tornado, and you're really at the bottom of it holding on. And so thank you so much for being here. And without further ado, thank you, Angela, so much for being our guest today. So I want to start, Angela, real quick with, would you just tell us a little bit about Incitrio and what Incitrio does? And then we'll get into some more details about how you do business with people.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Hill. I'm the founder of it and CEO of Incitrio. It's a branding and marketing agency. I've been in branding and marketing for 28 years. I'm originally from St. Louis, so grew up there, went to school there, Washington University in St. Louis, worked at some big agencies in St. Louis, then in San Francisco, then in San Diego, moved to San Diego in 98, and then I started my company 16 years ago. Incitrio functions as an outsourced marketing team for small and mid-sized businesses. My primary role is strategy, so I focus on branding analysis and strategy, where we take a look at the company in terms of where they are now, where they want to be, building out customer archetypes, and I also do Blue Ocean competitive canvas mapping to help them determine their competitive landscape. And then the other piece that I do is the marketing audit and the marketing strategy. So I'll take a look at all of the marketing tactics from a traditional and a digital perspective. I'll evaluate them, I perform an analysis, and from that we generate a marketing strategy and report, which turns into an editorial and a calendar as well as a budget. And then the last piece that I do when I'm working with clients is I work as a fractional CMO. So I'll take a look at what does your team look like? Is it the right mix? What additional support services do you need? I take a look at systems and processes, software, communication, culture. Is marketing delivering to sales the leads that they really need? Are we spending money in the right places? What are our KPIs? Are they leading indicators instead of lagging indicators? And I help fine tune that all together. And then I have a team of people behind me that support me, designers, print design, web design, digital marketing in terms of SEO, AdWords, email marketing, social media, and we also do web design, web development. We do mobile app design and software design. So really full capabilities.
Thank you for that detail. We really appreciate it. I know I learn more about things I failed at and really identifying what I don't know enough about than when I do well. And would you start with, what are some of the common mistakes that you or you see clients making as they try to build out their marketing plan?
So one of the common mistakes that I see is that people expect one type of marketing tactic to solve all of their problems. I've seen a lot of people spend way too much money on Google AdWords, and they think that because people are clicking on the ads, that marketing is performing effectively. But in reality, it doesn't really matter who clicks on your ads. What matters more is when they went to your website, what did they do? Did they fill out a form? Did they look at the information? Did they call you? Did they email you? And did they request more information, or did they place an order which turned into revenue? So the biggest mistake I see people making in terms of marketing is they're measuring the wrong thing. They're looking at marketing activity instead of how does marketing generate marketing qualified leads, which turns into profitable revenue. And so if you change the focus of your lens to how does marketing drive sales, you're going to make different choices in terms of your tactics, and you're going to measure things differently. The second biggest mistake that I see a lot of companies make is that they'll hire a junior or mid-level marketing person believing that they can handle everything. And the reality is no one person is good at everything. So you might hire someone who's really good at writing copy for your website, creating press releases, and doing other things that support your marketing efforts from a content perspective, but then they might not know anything about SEO or AdWords or marketing automation. So it's important to understand that just because you have a resource in-house and they have a marketing degree, it doesn't mean that they're good at everything. And oftentimes you're going to need to bring in other people to supplement them.
Thank you, Angela. Um, this is Real Talk with Ryan. I'm here with our special guest, Angela Hill from Incitrio. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat line box. You can type them in. I will get them and work them in. We'll also at the end open it up for any kind of live questions. We'll stop the recording so you can answer live and not worry about your voice getting out on recording. But like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and I'll work them into the commentary and questions. Angela, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I've always been impressed with how you do business. When you think about, this is why I do this, what's at the core of your values personally and how you do business?
Well, I always take the standpoint of if it were my business, what would I do? So when I work with clients, I try and step into their shoes. I take a look at what are the challenges that they're dealing with, what are the limitations that they have. And instead of trying to convince them they need to do something that's uncomfortable for them or that doesn't feel right, I try to work within those limitations to come up with a solution that addresses their needs, but also makes them feel good about what we're accomplishing. And I never assume that I know everything. So I'm always listening and learning about my clients' industries and their particular product and service and collaborating with them on the solution. And then I would say the third piece is I really emphasize to my employees and to my clients the importance of family and community, and that we're not doing what we're doing because, we're sipping martinis on the yacht on the weekend. It's really because we want work-life balance. We care about doing a good job. We want to make a difference. And, we want to pay our bills, but we also want to do work that we feel good about. And so I think my clients really appreciate that I don't come in with all the answers. And I appreciate that family and community are so important. And they also appreciate that I have those values. And so I won't work with someone who doesn't understand I need to go to a parent-teacher meeting, or I'm going to take my kid to soccer practice. And that may mean I have to do a call with them from the car, or it may mean that I need to talk to them tomorrow. Because if I don't have balance in my life as a creative person, I can't be at my best because I need to have that time and space where I'm fully on, but I'm also fully off in order to recover.
Sometimes you have this passion for the community and for balance and for family because you're inherently born with it. How much of it is something that's always been there for you versus how much of it is learned? And talk us through how you've gotten to that point where you recognize this is important to me.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but my parents divorced when I was 5. My dad died when I was 13. And so it was always my mom and I, and she worked, I think she worked 7 days a week until I went to college. As soon as I could, I was volunteering. So I volunteered at the Montessori school as a camp counselor. I volunteered at the hospital. I volunteered at the special education school district. And then in addition to that, I worked 15 to 20 hours a week during the school year and then full-time during the summer. And I did that because, one, I wanted to give back to the people that had taken time out of their lives to help me on my way. And I knew my mom didn't have enough money for me to buy things I wanted, like, clothes or going to the movies or, going on a field trip. And then I also studied really hard, and I got a full ride to WashU for college because I knew the only way I could go to college was if I got there by myself, because my mom told me from when I was little that she wouldn't be able to help me with college. So, and also my mom is from Colombia, so English is a second language. I saw her struggles as she had to learn English. She had to learn how to drive. She had to get jobs. She went back to school and got her AA so she could be a registered certified nurse's assistant specializing in elderly care. Like, I saw how much she struggled, and it showed me that if I wanted to have a different or better life, I needed to work as hard and show her that I could be equally committed to my future instead of her just making all of the sacrifices.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Um, so many of us have pivotal moments that shape our existence. And I can look back on several of those things in my life where I can see, because this event happened and how it impacted me, I have now shaped the way I interact with other people and with my family and the way I conduct business now. You talked about volunteering, and we've had a very common theme over the last several weeks with the guests in the show who have talked through their passion for elevating the community. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you incorporate that into your business. But first, I'd like to start with, how did you select what you wanted to volunteer for? Was it just that it was there and there was an opportunity, so you said, I'll help? Was it, I have a passion for children? Was it, I know you've done work with the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. I know that you've got several of these themes that you've carried forward. What's that criteria you use to select what organizations you contribute to, or those organizations you help for you personally? And then we'll get to the business side of it second.
So, I think initially it was based on opportunities that were convenient to me. So my mom worked for a husband and wife. They were both doctors. One was a doctor of education, and the other one was a doctor of psychology. And the doctor of education, they're both Dr. Zimney. So Dr. Zimney and Dr. Zimney had a Montessori school, and my mom worked for them as a housekeeper, and she did that for years to pay for me to go to Montessori school when I was 3, 4, and 5. And so then as I got older in the summers, my mom was still working full time, and I went with her everywhere. And so my choice was, I could go with my mom to work and read a book, or I could help out. And so Dr. Zimney said, would you want to come to the Montessori school and help me with the kids? And I said, sure, I love kids and I'd love to help. And so for, I don't know, like 12 or 13 years, every summer, I worked full time at the Montessori school as a volunteer, and I worked actually with the arts counselor doing art projects with the kids. And so I really enjoyed that. And then my mom had a job where she was working at the hospital. And so she was there working all day. I think she worked like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. And so I could stay home and read a book or do homework, or I could go with my mom and I could volunteer. So as soon as I was old enough, I had to like take a test to become a candy striper. But the candy striper office was only open until like 2 o'clock or something. It was like 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I get to the hospital at 7. I'd read my book until 8. I'd volunteer with the candy stripers 8 to 2. And then I went to the nursery and the childcare for the employees for the hospital, and I'd volunteer there from 2 until 5 until my mom finished work. because I figured, well, I could sit at home doing nothing, or I can contribute and help people who need help because I have time and energy and I'm willing to help and I love kids. And I think that translated over time to me having a really strong appreciation for education. I was involved with San Diego Social Venture Partners for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. I helped them with their marketing. And then I was also a lead partner with The Reason to Survive, which is a nonprofit that focuses on art and music therapy for at-risk youth. And SDSVP did a lot of research and did a lot of thinking on what they call collective impact initiatives. And so from that work, I segued into working with City Heights and with Oceanside on the professional side, helping them with branding and strategy for collective impact initiatives. And the thinking behind a collective impact initiative is that you can transform a community when you start with education, and then you bring all the components for those at-risk families, where it could be nutrition, it could be health services, maybe it's education, maybe it's the hospitals, maybe it's the police, it's the fire department, it's the community centers. What are all these organizations that are trying to transform a community? If we create a place for them to collaborate, they can have an exponential impact. And then also language can be a huge barrier. It's like, for example, in City Heights, there's Eritrean and there's Vietnamese, and it's not just English and Spanish. There's all these other cultures of people who have families, and maybe these kids are, first generation Americans, but at home they speak a different language, and the parents don't have a computer and they don't have a smartphone and they don't have access to technology. So how do we reach those families? It's through the schools where the kids are going anyways. How do we improve nutrition? Well, we provide breakfast and lunch for the kids, and maybe we give them a backpack to take home over the weekend with groceries, And if a kid needs glasses, the teacher is going to see that in the classroom, and we bring in the ophthalmologist once a week, but we also bring in the nonprofit that provides the free glasses. And so over time, I have come to the conclusion, and this is just my personal belief, that education for children is at the root of changing someone's future. Because if you can educate kids in at-risk and impacted communities, and they can get a better education, they can go to college, they can graduate high school, they can go to a trade school, they can get some kind of training that gets them to that next level of education, but also ability to earn a greater income, then they can have a nicer home, they can have a nicer car, they can afford to pay for health insurance, they can afford to buy better quality food for their family. And each generation gets better and better. So there's this whole domino effect that happens if you can focus on education. And I think there's I don't remember all of them, but there's a couple key moments that are predictors of success, right? Like it's like ability to recognize letters and numbers in kindergarten, hitting certain reading levels in second or third grade. Like there's all these markers that other organizations have studied to say, if a kid can hit these 4 or 5 markers in grade school and high school, then we know they're going to turn out okay. But if they don't, then they're probably going to die early from health problems, or they're going to end up in a gang, or they're not going to be successful in as an adult, or they're going to have some kind of early teen pregnancy that prevents them from moving forward. Like there was this statistic that the superintendent from Oceanside told me, and he said something like 50% of all Latina women get pregnant in high school. And so it's not that Latina women aren't capable of graduating from high school, it's that they get pregnant and then they drop out of high school and they don't go back. And then they start families really early, and then that cycle just keeps happening over and over again. So for me, I know this is a really long answer, but for me, my personal belief is if we can transform education, then we can have this ripple effect in all these other areas that all of these other nonprofits are trying to change and support.
Thank you for that. Inspiring to hear you talk about how you meet convenience and geographical availability, and how in that experience you learn how important this is, and it becomes part of the fabric of how you exist. This is Real Talk with Ryan. I'm here with our special guest, Angela Hill from Incitrio. Angela, I want to flip to business for a second because so many of us are not struggling, but thinking through what our true value proposition to the community is. We're staring down, our business has to change, the way we do things has to change, the way we employ people has to change, what clients value has to change. But overlaying that with, if you don't have a sense of purpose about what you do, you're going to get left behind, because people now are going to want to do business with people who have this overwhelming sense of, I'm here because, this purpose-based business. And we've really hammered away at this a few weeks in a row, and especially starting with Renee Van Heel from Pay It Forward Processing, when she talked about when she started the program for, every swipe contributes money to nonprofits. It changed the way her business functioned. It changed the way people that she employed came to work. It changed the way clients engaged with her. And it has to be a very real, very authentic form. It can't be faked. It can't be a pure marketing spectacle. I see these commercials on TV constantly for businesses. They're saying, look, now we care about all these things that you all care about, do business with us. Well, maybe they do, but that can come across very disingenuous. How do you carry that authenticity forward and start that conversation with even your own staff before you even deploy it in the community?
Well, it starts in the hiring process when I'm interviewing prospective employees and they say, well, tell me about Incitrio and, what makes your agency different or better. I have that conversation with employees, prospective employees, with clients, with strategic partners, with referral sources. Everybody wants to know what makes you different or better. And all I can say for me is that I act authentically, transparently, and with integrity. And so if you are that kind of person, then you'll enjoy working for me and that you'll enjoy being my client because we'll have those shared values. And if you aren't, then it's not going to work out anyways. So let's just be honest about who we are. Not everybody is an ideal client. I'm not the perfect agency for everybody, and that's okay. I don't need to be everything to everybody. I need to be my best self and find clients that appreciate that.
How do you measure if you're the best version of you? What are the criteria you use to say, yeah, I'm hitting that mark today? And I know everyone's trying to constantly improve, and no one's,
Right.
if you say you're the best version of you, you're automatically no longer the best version of you. But what measuring sticks do you use to say, yeah, I'm making progress towards this goal?
That's a really tough one. I think it's not a measuring thing where I go, okay, it's Friday, time to look back on the week. How did I do? Or it's not like, oh, it's the end of the month. Was I my best self this month? For me, it's daily, hourly, in the moment, before I respond to a client or respond to an employee, I take a deep breath and I'll write something and I'll run it past someone else and I'll say, look, I'm upset about this issue, but this is what I'm trying to convey and this is how I'm trying to say it. And I am worried that I'm not saying it the best way I could. Will you look at this? Will you help me rewrite it? And I do that for my team as well, where, when we communicate with someone, if it's really important and we're worried that because in writing things can be misinterpreted, we'll rewrite it for each other just to make sure that it's really accurately expressing what we're trying to express in the right way without hurting feelings, without shaming someone, without blaming. Okay, we have a problem. Here's where I'm coming from. Here's what I think you believe. Am I right? Am I wrong? How do we solve this problem together? It's never flaring up or accusing or judging. It's how do we figure it out together? And so as long as I have great people around me that I can do that for them and they can do that for me, they're kind of my double check for myself on a daily, hourly basis. Or if I'm going to get on a call and I'm worried that I might not say something the right way or I might not position something correctly, then I'll ask someone from my team, hop on the call with me, and make sure I'm headed on the right path, that I'm saying the right thing in the right way, because my intention and I don't want it to be misinterpreted.
Today, we're always dealing with people who are under high stress. Our staff is during high stress. We're dealing with high stress. Our clients are dealing with high stress. And in those moments of high stress, you talked about this collaboration around writing it, rewriting it, talking about it, finding that common ground around what's the right response. How do you navigate? What are some tools that you use to help you navigate that level of stress? Because everybody is in an environment where something's different. Something, no matter who you are, is different right now. And that's change is creating this stress that makes it very difficult to stay patient through that. So what are you doing for yourself to check yourself? Because I struggle with that on a daily basis too. And how do you deploy that into your team and into your clients?
Well, I think it starts with being really honest, like, hey, it's 3 p.m. and I haven't eaten lunch yet. I need 5 minutes. I need to, I know you want something from me, but time out. I gotta step up. I need to walk away from my computer. I need to eat something. Maybe I need to go to the bathroom. Can I have 5 or 10 minutes, or do you need this right now? And 9 out of 10 times they're like, yeah, no, I can wait. Or I'm about to hop on a call with a client. I know you didn't know that because it's not on my calendar, but I want to make sure I'm on time for this appointment. I'm available next at this time. Does that work for you? Or here's another option. And I think it's just, we work from home, and you would think working from home would be great, but I feel like I'm even more chained to my computer because I don't even have the option to hop in my car and drive to a meeting where I get a mental break for 15 minutes of silence in the car before I go to the next thing,
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
I also have kids, so like I struggle with, yes, I am home and I want to be there for you, but I'm also working, so sometimes I'll joke around with them. I'm like, I am in my invisible cone of silence. When I am at my desk and you see me working, that means I am actually working. I know it looks like I'm at home, but I'm not really at home. I'm at the office, and so it's just hard right now. Things are different and we're all struggling with new ways of working together. And if we can just give a little grace and patience and understanding, we're going to be fine.
How has your product or how has the way you deploy your product changed in this environment?
So that really hasn't changed. This past year, we were experimenting with a hybrid in office and virtual work schedule. So my employees were working 2 to 3 days a week from home already. So we've already, before this whole thing happened, we had already had a year practicing, well, what kind of software do we need? And what kind of communication systems do we need? And how do we do scheduling? And how do we make sure everybody's on the same page? And when do we need to have, so we have like a daily call for 30 minutes every morning. And we all just do a super speed run through. This is what I'm working on. What are you working on? What do you need? Here's what I need. Okay, cool, go. Break. But we use Slack for communication. So whether we're in the office together or we're apart, if it's a quick question, it's on Slack. If it's urgent, it's a text, right? If it can wait, it's an email. If it's crazy urgent, it's a phone call. But all of our clients were used to communicating with us via email and phone already. So we already had that infrastructure. And we already had regular touch points with our key clients. So nothing changed for us in that way. I would say what changed for us was I think the level of anxiety that everybody has because of the uncertainty of where we are with this whole coronavirus epidemic, and with companies feeling this very strong need to evolve and change, but also move quickly because some rule or law or regulation could change at any minute. And then the strategy you have right now is not going to work tomorrow. So that level of panic creates a lot of extra stress. Navigating that is harder because I try not to work in a state of panic or emergency. Like I had a client a long time ago who said to me, what did she say? She said, a lack of planning on your part doesn't constitute an emergency on mine. And so like that's something that I've kind of adopted as a motto. I mean, it's different because we really are in emergency times, but I've always felt that it was better to be proactive instead of reactive. So it's my responsibility to communicate in advance when I see problems coming. So as soon as this whole coronavirus thing happened, before we all started working remote, I started reaching out to my clients and saying, hey, I see this thing coming. What do we need to talk about now in terms of strategy to help you pivot or change? Because I think it's going to affect your business. And some clients said, wow, yeah, let's talk about it. And they're doing great. And other clients said, oh, I'm not too worried. I'm just going to wait it out, kind of treating it like a vacation that was going to last 2 or 4 weeks. And here we are months later, and now they're really having problems, but no one could have anticipated we would be where we are today.
How has, in your mind, the value clients are placing on marketing changed in this environment? Has it pivoted? Has it adjusted? Are they valuing different components of it? What's different on that side?
So what's really interesting is because I've been through a couple recessions, and each one's been a little bit different. I've always had diversified mix of clients in terms of size, in terms of industry, and in terms of product or service. And I've done that intentionally so that we could be recession proof. But the last time we had the recession, like what everyone did was they said, I'm not going to spend any money and I'm going to cut marketing out completely. And then when I have money, I'll come back and spend money on marketing. And a lot of people stop spending money on marketing for 6, 12, 18 months. And those businesses really suffered when they came back because some people had the belief that sales did all the work and marketing did nothing. So why were they putting marketing money in this black hole? And then when they came back, they realized, oh, marketing and sales, that's like peanut butter and jelly. I could have one, I could have the other, but it's way better when they work together. And so I think this time it's been different because we're not in person. So it's not like they could hire some VP of marketing for a marketing director level role and then have them handle all of their marketing efforts and everything will be fine. If anything, the older, more senior level marketing people are having bigger challenges because they're less savvy about digital marketing. And really, the only way you can market right now is digitally because people aren't going to trade shows and they're not doing print advertising in magazines and no one's really looking at direct mail. And there's so much coverage with the coronavirus on the news, it's hard to get any PR through. So then what are you left with? SEO, AdWords, email, and social. And then that's totally bombarded by everybody spending their money in the same place. So in order to be effective, you actually need people who know what they're doing to help you. You can't just wing it or, take an online class and you'll be fine. And I think people are realizing that now.
Angela, thank you so much. I'm here. This is Real Talk with Ryan, here with our special guest, Angela Hill from Incitrio. If any of you have any questions, we're going to open it up for questions here in a minute. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing those insights. When you're not in the marketing space, a lot of times you feel like you're just guessing. And without the right people around you, it's very difficult to know what the right moves are, to get any sense of sanity around what to do. And so often those that are in your office as employees are just trying to hold on to their jobs. And you talked about, being very task or busy oriented and not actually results oriented. And so I know Incitrio delivers that kind of results focus for their clients. So with that, the last question I want to ask, and we'll open up the questions for the field, is what's next for Angela and for Incitrio as an organization?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know what's next. I'm one day at a time. I know what's tomorrow.
What's tomorrow for Angela and Incitrio?
A lot
Maybe
of
you
work
can put your
tomorrow.
calendar up on the screen and show us.
Oh gosh. If you saw my calendar, you would cry.
I don't know. My calendar's pretty busy.
Yeah, you and I could have a calendar comparing competition. It would be probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
What's next? I don't know. I mean, just do good work, be a good person, keep going forward one day at a time.
Well, someone once said to me, "How do you eat an elephant?" And it's one bite at a time. And I think the theme, as you talked about, how you work towards improving the best version of yourself, and each day is a daily, hourly, minute by minute, actual moment by moment evaluation of, did I do that as well as I could have, and where do I learn, and how do I adjust, and then do I do it the best I can, is certainly a testimonial to your commitment to the people you work with, to the people and the clients you serve, and to the community you represent. And your passion for improving the quality of those lives that are around you is admired by me and by so many in the community. So I thank you for what you've done for us. I know that on behalf of everyone on this call who've interacted with you, I thank you on their behalf, and the community is better off for having you in it. So Angela, thank you for being our guest today. And we look forward to seeing what you do with you and your team in the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ryan.